I wanted to, there was someone who wrote in with a comment in registration that said, just to your point, Christina said, I would love it if my children had more diversity in their friends, but because I don't have much diversity in my group of friends, I have no clue how to nurture it. I mean, that's really important to be doing it yourself and to, to have the opportunity. Depending on where you live, you might not have it. So.
And Allison, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I kind of seeing, and I'm also kind of, looking at the chat too, because I'm seeing these kind of conversations come up, have to agree that we have to be able to kind of model it within ourselves. So that's where they're looking. It's the first modeling, early childhood. And so we have to take a look at how are we interacting and getting along with other folks of color. So there's that. Number two is I hear kind of a question and see it as well around legitimate or authentic kind of relationships. And I want to kind of think about this in another kind of way too. When I listen to kids and what kids are saying about this kind of topic is they're kind of noticing, oh, it turns out that many of the kids I hang out with are also mixed or are also Latinx or are also, and kind of noticing that. Mm-hmm. That is developmentally appropriate. It is not a pathology and it's not a sign that these kids don't know how to get along across racial lines. So there's a fantastic book called Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together at the Table by Beverly Tatum that I highly recommend everyone read. So the first piece is that while I hear people kind of think about how do we promote cross relationship, you have to have a safe base first. And within BIPOC communities, it's okay for affinity spaces. It's okay to have places. And in fact, developmentally, we need places to push because our kids need to kind of fight with each other and tease each other and play with each other. And sometimes it's harmful about like who's blacker than who, but that is developmentally what kids need to be able to do. And I hear so often parents getting worried about some sort of sign or issue that is a problem. So I just want to start like
a really good point. Mm-hmm.
Let them have an affinity group. Mm-hmm. And what are the ways that you can kind of promote? I think Anastasia's model is one that we've tried to replicate at the school where we both teach. And so I've kind of taken her ideas and kind of try to replicate it for graduate students. So we have a group of BIPOC graduate students across multiple dimensions and multiple races, but we have a shared goal in mind, which is supporting the school. And then they get to form friendships. The research is super consistent that when you bring people together for superordinate goals or values, then you can connect. And Anastasia does this in the context of bringing folks together around psychology. But there's other ways of bringing folks to kind of together. And one of the common ways that we and kids are coming together around or across kind of our racial differences within BIPOC communities is honestly to talk about oppression. And to talk about how to manage racialized violence and how to be allies to each other. So that I think is challenging and not necessarily the funnest way that we want people to come together. Perhaps would be better over soccer or food, but we can kind of think that kids will come together and are coming together to talk about how to manage racial oppression.